Good morning. Welcome to Fridays with Foster. Again, I am your host, Foster. And today we've got a lot of information I want to go over. First, as far as the coffee is concerned, I'm just doing a double shot. For those of you keeping score, that's what I'm drinking. Ooh, that is significant. I also have a coffee too, but that was just from before. So, pardon me, today is called Death by Meeting. There's two books to reference for this that I like. One is by Patrick Lencioni, which is actually entitled Death by Meeting. Another one is by Clyde, Burleson, Effective Meetings, The Complete Guide from 1990, in which there is a section called electronic meetings, which I think is hilarious in 1990. But I'll be honest with you, it's pretty interesting some of the things that he talks about voicing and makeup and the difference between two of these, the different types of meetings. It's almost like a television show. So there's like passive video conferences, as he calls them, or electronic meetings. And then there's active. And the passive ones, he says participants are watching what amounts to a TV program, which is funny. That's pretty much what one-sided webinars are. And if that's the case, we should almost treat it as such. The other, of course, being active meetings, meaning people participating in what I prefer to do with my online webinars, or like to call them live events or workshops. But I think it's funny, from 1990, there's a lot of stuff that we can learn from some of the older texts, right? Pardon me for saying that. Some people on here might be cringing at the fact that 1990 was older. But anyway, in the life of e-meetings, as it were, which is funny, I should start using that. Electronic meetings, it definitely is. So let's talk about this. So meetings, man, meetings get such a bad rap. Mostly it's because they are not effective. And if you go online and look up effective meetings or quotes, I mean, there are some really intelligent people, well-meaning people like Peter Drucker and people like that in business that just tear down meetings. They said meetings are for the inept and da-da-da. There are a lot of things that, that you see that really come down on the importance of meetings. They definitely get a bad rap. I think personally, it's because they're simply not run effectively and not enough thought and time goes into a meeting. So I've got 6 minutes. We're going to really blow through this, so you might have to stop and rewind if you want to look at some of these things. So let's talk about, first of all, there's meeting types. So there's a few different kinds that we talk about. Number one would be like a daily check-in meeting. Daily check-in meetings are... I'm putting my phone on mute. The daily check-in meetings are about 10 minutes, just getting the lay of the land, anything going on today that you guys want to talk about, really short and concise. Okay. Weekly tactical meetings, those are more often known as like staff meetings, and they should be about maybe 60 minutes, give or take. And that's where we're actually talking about things that are tactical for the week. Usually set that at the beginning of the week to say, how's the week look? What kind of issues do we have that we're looking for? If we have proposals due, or sales presentations, or if we've got service calls or something with project management that needs to be dealt with, being very focused about that. Then we've got the monthly strategic meetings. This is where we talk about, Lencioni speaks about this. There should only be no more than 2 topics for this meeting, and you should have about 2 hours per topic, okay? And I love this statement by him. The monthly strategic meeting is the most important indicator of a company's strategic aptitude. I'll say it again. It's the most important indicator of a company's strategic aptitude. Most companies, they're going too fast. They don't have time. How much money do we make from a meeting? That's like, how much money do we make from a strategic planning document? Or how much money do we make from creating a budget? The event in and of itself is not where the power is. The power is what it gives you the option to do after the fact, okay? Then we've got the quarterly offsite meeting, which is what I do with my clients in this upcoming fourth quarter one in October. I'm actually going to be doing one so there's going to be some non-clients in there as well. But the idea is to look back at the quarter, what did we do well, move forward with specific goals and SMART goals for the next quarter. Then annual meeting, we like to call that the celebration, recognition, something along those lines. And we just want to get together and look back at the whole year, look forward at the next year, and get everybody on the same page. More of a values base. We're sharing our appreciation for each other, sharing our appreciation for our team. So what are some things we need to look at? Well, let's talk about the meeting title, which we just kind of talked about right in the meeting types. We also like to track the duration. How long are these meetings supposed to be? What's the frequency, which we already discussed? Are they daily, weekly, monthly, bi-weekly? How's that work? And the attendees, who is supposed to be there? I've created a really simple, this is not something spectacular, but all of my clients have a tab in our weekly focus sheet. So I've got a whole weekly focus sheet that has all different tabs on it so we can track our progress week to week and beyond. The weekly focus sheet has a tab that's the meeting audit form. The meeting audit form is one where we actually get a list in one place of all the different meetings and all of these things that we want to track, like the duration, the frequency, who's in charge, right? Who's going to be the main facilitator? Do we rotate those facilitators? And what we look at is the ones that we're currently having, the meetings that we're currently conducting. We can sometimes see where if we pull one person out of this meeting and put them over here, we could eliminate a meeting altogether. Or maybe if we have one person join this meeting for the last 30 minutes, then we can eliminate a whole other meeting. More than often what we find is there are huge gaps in our meetings. Like we don't have we don't have a quarterly meeting. We don't have something where we check in on the status of customer service even on a monthly basis or something like that. So we just have to be really careful about over meeting and under meeting our meetings in our organization. Okay. So one of the most important things on this audit form is the desired outcome. Now make no mistake, the desired outcome is not review projects and blah, 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 blah. No, that's what you do in the meeting, right? Like that's the purpose of what we're doing in the meeting. We're going over projects, we're talking about this, we're doing this either tactically or strategically. What is the outcome? What do we want to happen as a result of having all these people from our business taking time, which by the way, would be helpful to calculate how much money it costs to pull everybody aside for 20 or 40 minutes, and that will help you stay really focused. But what is the outcome? What are we trying to achieve? Okay, there's certain rules I want you to write down. Well, you don't have to write them down if you don't want to right now, but some things to keep in mind. Number one, we'll have the rules. I call it the blast door rule. Number one, like blast doors in the nuclear chamber. So we when that time ticks down and it's time for the meeting to start, the door's closed and it's locked, and that's it. It doesn't open until the end of the meeting. If you're not on time or early, you're not there. No phones. Shut your phones off. If you keep the meeting short, it's not going to be a problem. Most of us are not doctors with emergencies. We just get pulled into the fact that we think we should always be accessible at every minute of every day. Okay. If you're facilitating the meeting, which everybody should know who's in charge of facilitating the meeting, send an agenda 24 hours ahead of time so people can be prepared for the meeting. Again, to make the meeting time as short and concise as possible. Don't have any side conversations. Do we always have that where somebody has something, either a joke or whatever? When I do my strategic planning, when I do my meetings, if I see somebody talking in the back, I just say, hey, what do you got? I mean, if it's funny, I want to hear it too, even if it's at my expense. But also what it does is it doesn't disrupt the meeting anymore, and they know that they can't just have these side conversations. And sometimes there's some really good answers in there. Somebody might be a little nervous. They're sitting next to a friend and they're like, hey, well, we should really have Stephanie doing that. And, and Stephanie's like, well, I'd love to do that. But if she never hears it, she doesn't know. So when you stay on topic, you keep people on that topic. Agree to have a regulator or like a bouncer in the room. It should be probably the facilitator who can say, hey, whoa, okay, let's put that in the parking lot. Let's get back to the task on hand. We're not going to drill down too far deep in this muck. Don't go down too many rabbit holes. And remember, silence in a meeting equals agreement. So if you're not going to speak up and say anything, then that's going to be on you if you don't agree with it. Now, you might speak up and say something and say, I'm not sure which way to go on this, but I want some time to think about it, and that's fine too. One tool that I love using for scheduling meetings with multiple people is Doodle, Doodle.com. It's a ridiculous name for a scheduling platform, but it works wonderfully. You set it up, set everybody that you want to be in the meeting an email with options for days and times, and then whoever can make those times, they just check the box, preferred times, and then that's when you set the meeting. Here's what I want you to think about, the last thing. The majority of meetings should be discussions that lead to decisions that have actions to follow up the meeting with deadlines. Discussions, decisions, actions with deadlines. If you're not doing that as part of your meetings are simply not going to be effective. If you have any other questions, you want to reach out to me, or you have some ideas on how this can work out well for you, shoot me a text, or go on my website, send me an email, fostermccarl@actioncoach.com. Be happy to help you out. Have a very productive day of meetings if you have any, and have a wonderful weekend. Thanks.